I'm excited. This is my first ever reading.
Ah, oh my gosh. I'm excited too. Let me give you a little bit of rundown of how psychic readings work with me.
Mm.
And I can't necessarily say this is what they're all like.
Yeah.
And I have a background as a coach. I might share something about moving, and then 2 minutes into it, you're like, okay, I think I'm good. Like, let's move on to something else.
Okay.
Yeah. Because even though I'm psychic, I don't know everything you want to know. So you have
Mhm.
to tell me if you have a
Yeah.
question to
Yeah.
make sure that we get it covered.
Okay. It's not like a hypnosis meditation, is it?
No, no, I don't know how to do that, even though I think it is cool. Do you have any other questions?
Not right now. I just have the questions that I'm gonna ask you.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I'll invite you in a little bit to ask a question or any questions. As many as you have, you can ask in our time together, whatever
Okay.
we have time for. All right, Jyoti. So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. You can keep yours closed or open. And whenever you're ready, if you'll take in a breath through your nose, letting out a gentle exhale whenever you're ready. And with your next deep breath in, I'm going to speak a few things now because I'm feeling, and I don't know if this is something that you're feeling, but potentially, and it could be conscious or unconscious. I'm feeling a little bit that it almost feels like you're bracing yourself for what could happen, what could come about, and a sense of, I almost want to use the words like rigid controlling, like, okay, I'm keeping things together, like things are very structured. And so I just want to honor that there is no expectation that you need to relax any more than you feel comfortable. There is no expectation from me that you need to receive anything more than you feel comfortable. Also, there is no expectation that anything will come forth that you are not fully ready to receive or hear. So, just letting your whole being know that this is a safe space where, at any point in time, if the information or experience feels overwhelming or too much of whatever it is that is feeling, and if it makes it feel more uncomfortable, less desirable, then we can pause, we can stop, and that's totally fine. Any moment of our time together, the purpose is to be here with you and to support you. And even if that supporting is just knowing that you have full control, full capability to decide what you receive, what you allow, what you will do, and what you won't do in your life. Maybe it's parental, or maybe it's some other big force in your life, cultural, school, or something. It feels to me that there's something in your life, maybe more than one thing, that is very imposing, would be one way to put it. And it feels that it's very clear that this, I'm just going to go with parents. It may not be your parents. And if it isn't, that's fine. And you don't have to say yes or no if you don't want to. But let's just say if it is your parents, then it feels like there's very much, this is the right way to do things. These are the expectations. This is what we want you to do. And in order to be in this family or in this group, or to have the love and acceptance, like, this is what we expect, and there is no other way that they see things. And so one of the reasons I'm talking about it is I feel it for me, it feels like tuning in this force that is so powerful and influential in your life is also not necessarily wanting to experience something that would contrast that in a major way or would cause conflict. How do you feel about any of this?
Yeah. I'm like, yes.
So, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and see what might be helpful for me to do. Like, what role, if you're ready, you could ask a question. Do you feel like you're ready to ask a question? Would that
Yeah.
be helpful? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
definitely. So speaking of family, one of the questions I had was I've never gotten along with, well, semi never, I guess, gotten along with one of my siblings. What can I do to begin healing that relationship?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Okay, let me see. Okay, I am going to get to this question, but I'm also realizing I need to invite in some of your spirit helpers to add to the chorus here of who's going to communicate with me. So taking in a deep breath and inviting in all of those who support you, who love you, who offer their unconditional clarity, support, encouragement, love. And this can be ancestors, angels, the universe, everyone and everything who's here to support you, calling them in and inviting them in right now to look into this question of how can Jyoti heal this relationship with the sibling? Okay, so I'll start talking and then I'm assuming more will come. So the first thing that I get is, to me, what feels like kind of the beginning of the conflict between you two. And I don't know exactly what happened, but the experience of it, it felt like a lightning bolt just coming like crashing down into the floor. And then it's like the split, it's like the lightning bolt. And there was before and then there was after. And so and to me, it feels like fairly young whenever this lightning bolt moment happened. And so it doesn't feel like there was anything that you did to make it that way. And one of the things that they're telling me is that this sense of it was always going to be this way between you two, in that there wouldn't be a harmonious relationship. I'm just listening because they're giving me a little bit more. Wow. Okay. Yeah, they're telling me not till many, many decades have passed will you two get to a place where it's like you can come back around and have connection together. A little bit what they're showing me is, and I don't have an exact number here, but just to kind of give you a ballpark idea of like late 40s, 50s. Yeah, probably late 40s or 50s, maybe even 60s, like years of age. And I don't know how far apart this sibling is to you, but so to me, it feels like many decades in the future, this sibling is going to experience a loss, which is going to reframe their outlook. And it's going to be a big source of grief for them. And for them, it'll almost be like the lightning bolt moment, like it was earlier. And that is when they will have enough of a perspective shift that they can have a better relationship with you. Because, yeah, it feels like it's going to be for them, it's going to have to be something big, like a loss of, I'm assuming it's a loved one, but who knows? I don't know what the loss is going to be. I just know it's going to be a big loss for them. And that it's going to, because they're hurting so much, it's going to open their heart in a way that they can then have a positive relationship with you if you choose. But I don't know if both of you kind of came into this life with this agreement of like, we're going to have this relationship that doesn't really have a lot of harmony in it, but there does seem to be that level of finality of fate of like, it was always, like I said, they're saying it was always going to be this way, that you two didn't get along. It to me feels, again, because I'm talking about what's going to happen many years from now with this person, that it's their inability to be able to relate to you in a way that you can relate to them, which is causing some of this difficulty of connecting. Okay, I know how I haven't really shared yet how you heal, so I will get to that. Does it feel like I'm on the right track a little bit with some of
Yes,
this?
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, and I'm getting this sense too of even you hearing me telling you in a way like there's not much you can do, sometimes in life that cannot be great news, but I feel like in accepting it and deciding, oh, okay, so then I'm going to take care of Jyoti. I'm going to take care of myself, not like try and work really hard to make something work that's just never going to work, or never, in the next 3 to 4 decades. I don't know exactly how old you are or how old they are, but it feels like literally decades from now will be when you could have a good relationship.
We're just a
And
year apart in age.
okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Let's see what else. I am getting the sense of you caring for yourself and having your needs met and doing whatever you need to do or want to do, so that, because do you have to interact with this person at family gatherings or dinners or periodically throughout the year, or do you live with them?
Semi, like she has her own place, but like she's here for holidays and weekends and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of, in a way, of like loving detachment from, I don't know if it's drama when you two are together, but it feels like a little bit of separation of just this knowing of giving a little bit of more space between you two, not trying to make it all like, yay, we're lovey-dovey and we're just best buddies, because that's not really going to happen in the short run. And yeah, really just whatever you need for you, so that when you're around her, you can feel better or okay, would be beneficial.
Yeah.
And you might need to experiment for a couple months even. Okay, how do I just try to leave the house when she's coming over? It's not a holiday. Or like, how do I find something to do so I'm in the other room? Or I don't know what it is. So it might, and maybe you've already done some of this.
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
like kind of realized it, set some boundaries and just stay away as much as I can.
That sounds good. Yeah. And filling up your cup of whatever it is when she's not there and you're doing that feels good to you and that feels authentic for you. Excellent. Do you have another question? Should we move on, or do you want to ask more about this?
No, I do have it's a whole different
Oh,
thing
sure,
though.
sure, sure.
Okay. So let's put it this way, I don't want to give my age away. So let's say I'm getting close to 30
Uh-huh.
and I've never dated. I've always just kind of, because of the rocky path I've had growing up with like my mom, my sister, I just gave away the sibling. Oops.
I figured it was a sister.
But
There are only three choices: sister, brother, or they, them. So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe there's like technically more choices, but
Yeah. So because of that, I've always been kind of scared about the idea of dating or being in love or something, to the point where
Mhm,
I just kind of tell myself, I'm like, oh, I don't believe in love because I've never really received it growing up.
mhm,
So obviously, I do want like the type of love that I read about, in like stories. So that question becomes, what will my love life look like in the future? If you can.
yes. Oh, yeah, I can definitely look into that. Yeah, and well, I just want to commend you for being brave enough not to tell yourself that's not for me, or like you said, like you're not saying, oh, love doesn't exist or I can't have it. Like, even if there's a part of you that feels, oh, I haven't had it yet, but I'm willing to be open to it, I just want to honor that, because that's brave. And not brave in a foolish way, but
Yeah,
brave in your heart, you're putting your heart first in a courageous way, and I love
yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I always keep a handkerchief nearby because sometimes I get emotional. I do feel, I'm going to ask in a little bit, like what, when I tune in, I definitely get this impression of a partner who feels like a male, feels very like funny to me. Not necessarily that he's like totally a comedian, but is, he does, he's he's optimistic, or like looks at the funny things in life. And so that's one of the qualities that I get that I really like. And this is just making me emotional because I also feel like he brings like so much laughter to your life, and like, and happiness as well. But it's also like the sense that you have of how good love can be. It feels that with him, it's even better than you could have imagined, because of just how he is and how you complement each other. Oh my gosh, I'm getting full body chills. And mm, yeah, he seems really sweet. Okay. There was something else I was going to say beyond the fact that he's a little bit funny, like happy-go-lucky, is that a term? Yeah. So there's a few things coming through that a little bit connect from like him wherever we're in the space and time that you meet him and you know him and you're with him, and or if it is a him, and then now. And so a few of the things that I'm getting are that you're not necessarily going to meet him in a conventional way. They're not telling me more yet what that means, but I get that I get two things that seem important for you. Of if you have any people in your life who you notice that they have the kind of relationship that you admire, maybe spend a little bit more time with those people. And if you feel comfortable enough, like let's say it's another woman that you know, you might say, can you tell me what were you thinking before you met this person, or how did you know you were open to it, or just a little bit, ask them questions about their life or their relationship to expand your own perspective. And if there aren't people like that you know personally, then maybe you can explore other ways that you can feel that you're around people who you feel like have that positive relationship. So like, for example, there's a podcaster couple that I listen to, and one of the reasons I like their podcast is the way they get along together is fun. And so it's listening to it, it's fun. So if there's not a person who you personally know, or a few people, maybe you find them via a social media route or whatever, of like, oh, I really like how this couple relates and presents themselves, and that you can just kind of connect to that. So that's one thing.
I do have
That,
a like two YouTube channels that I watch
oh,
that I'm just
good.
like, oh my God, they're like the perfect couple and like the perfect family. So
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And I also get this sense too of seeing that. And if there's ever a part of you that is like, oh, I want that, which is fine to feel that way, adding on to that whole, I want a relationship like that, adding on with that, a thank you, universe, for showing me a glimpse of what I want. And it's like a way of affirming, you know, if your book was a novel, this is the foreshadowing, let's say.
oh, okay.
And so you seeing that is you seeing a glimpse of, I'm going to have this too. So that could be another, and you may want to play around with whatever phrase or idea feels good when you're watching them and you think, I want something like that, to tack onto it.
Yeah.
But that is really going to help expand, so that it's not just a nice to have over there, but you feel like, oh, that really is part of your experience too. And they just, those people already know each other, but that's,
Yeah.
you're getting there as well,
Yeah.
you know, moving forward into the future to meet this person.
Can
And
I just say I
then
love that you used a book reference because I'm a self-published author. So
I love it.
so I'm just like, oh, she just knew that. She just knew.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'll have to connect more with you after this, because I have a book I'm finishing this month, and I don't know a lot of self-published authors personally. Does nature know something about manifesting that you don't know? What do the trees know about manifesting that you really could utilize? There's so much that the flowers, the seeds, the trees all have to share with you about manifesting. I recommend you sign up for my free workshop. Start learning about how to manifest by working with nature. This is one of the master secrets, that people who are amazing manifestors, they're working with the laws of nature. Unfortunately, most of us in school, we might have learned some science facts, but we don't know how nature works. I'm a nature expert. I have studied nature both in a professional capacity and spent hundreds of hours with it in a personal and spiritual capacity. I want you to learn how to work with nature and how to make nature work with you to manifest the things that you want so deeply in your life, whether that's love, whether that's a fulfilling career, whether that's a home. Anything that you want to manifest, working with the natural world can help you with that. Click below to sign up for my free workshop. Yeah, I'm a big reader also. Okay, so the other thing, I get this sense of like a class in the community. Not that that's where I think you're going to meet him, but it almost feels like maybe you take a few community classes this year that feel, and if community class does not like spark anything for you, I would say later on this week or today, take out a piece of paper and brainstorm and see where you go from there. Because this is just the first thing that I'm getting, and this is how I'm characterizing it. But anyway, community class, I get the sense of like, you go to this community class that's something you really enjoy, and then you meet a friend and blah blah blah, and you become friends with this person, and then like 3 months later they're having a potluck and you meet so and so. Or to me it feels like there's this whole lovely winding path, but one of the first next steps is you putting yourself out in the community in a different way than you are now. And so that's why I said it might not be a community class, but it's
The
something
only
in the.
community thing I can think of that's coming up is I went to the public library here in town, and community wise, I'm doing like a book signing.
Ooh, I love that.
And it hasn't been like confirmed, but that's like the only thing I could think of that's
Okay.
happening.
Yes.
Literally, it's happening in March, which is 2 months down the road, but it's like months,
Yes.
so
Yes.
March,
I love
April.
it.
That's what they said, March,
Yes.
April. So it does hit that 3 months thing.
Yes. And also I'm just going to riff for a minute on that too of, so you're doing that, and maybe other authors have signing events that you go to, or maybe there's an art gallery opening that you go to, or you have a celebration at a local bakery for your book and invite people. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a class, but I definitely get this feeling of a community space where people are interacting, that you are there, you can meet people, you can see people, people can see you and meet you. Okay, let's see if there's anything else there. So I'm getting also this reminder that your past is just the past. It's, if you're a plant, this is the soil that you grew out of, but it's not the predictor of your future. And so I don't know if you know Wayne Dyer, but one of his quotes that he talked about that I liked was like, if you're on a boat looking back at the wave behind you, the wake, you can't tell what your future is by looking at your past. And so what I'm really getting a sense of is, you briefly mentioned your rocky past, and
Yeah.
the guidance I'm getting is to, as you're looking to your future, to not, and not that you do this, but I'm just telling you this because this is a big reminder they want you to know, that your past doesn't define your future. And in the grand scheme of you as an infinite being, you had love before you were born. You knew it, you loved it, and you were born into the conditions to get your growth started. And you are not replicating the conditions that you came from. You're growing into who you are, and you are, if you will, returning to love. But even though I know like all of these things have defined you, there's just really this sense of, don't over associate with like any of the negative parts of it, because it feels like where you're going is just going to keep on getting better and better and better. And even though, yes, it shaped you, and like if there's stuff that you're called to do to heal and whatever, that's great. But it's also to remind you of, even if consciously you feel like, well, I don't know if I have the capacity to love, or can I show up in a loving relationship? Can I be loving? Can I accept it? Consciously, you don't know that, but in you, also, part of you does know that. And part of you just, I just keep on thinking about how life is almost like, I was looking to see, is there a book reference I could have? But I keep on getting all this plant stuff. But maybe it's also like, if you're writing a book and the character, like if there's a natural path that it's taking, it doesn't always matter that the beginning of the book, the character was in like the worst circumstances. We know they're going to have that good ending. Although who knows, maybe you write books that don't have happy endings, which is fine. But it's like, it doesn't matter that if you're this beautiful rose bush growing, that you started out in the rockiest circumstances, because within you is the seed of what you will become. And it's already like, there's so much momentum towards where you're going that the initial circumstances are not defining you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we have a little bit more time left, so I don't know if you have a short question, or rather I could give it a short answer if that is possible for me.
Yeah, my only last question would be career-wise.
Mm,
So, I
okay.
mean, obviously, in 2021, I like worked basically for like a month, and after that, like 2022, sorry, 2022, I worked for a month. 2021, I had like three different jobs. I worked the entire year. But 22, I worked for like a month, and then I took like this author route, which I absolutely love. I love writing. I love reading as well.
Mhm,
But, you know, I'm trying to get out of like education and change fields, and I feel like it's just taking forever. So, should I just continue applying in education, or should I just go with my heart and wait a bit to see?
mhm,
Because I feel like
mhm.
not having a career is also stopping me from dating, because I'm the type of person who's like, I don't want to spend his money. I want to be financially stable myself too.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's also maybe a self-esteem too thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know when I didn't have a job, I just felt weird on dates. Like, what do I talk about? I got not much going on. Although you do have things going on, even
Yeah.
aside from
I
that.
mean,
But
I didn't want to just lay around, so that's how I became an author. It's just,
uh-huh.
yeah. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, let me see here. I'm just pausing because because sometimes, well, what I'm getting initially, I'm like, oh, that could be like a whole nother path. That's not exactly, it might take some time, but I keep on getting this sense back to the library that you mentioned. I'm like, what about the library? Like, what about working in a library? Which maybe that's too close to education. And maybe you don't want to go back to school for information sciences or whatever they study. But I do feel there's, let me just share with you some of the other things that I'm getting, because I see, one, I get this glimpse of you reading stories to children. Not that your books are for children per se,
they aren't.
but
No.
okay. But also that whole, it's like story time at the library kind of vibe. And I also get a feeling of nonprofit, not forever, because the
Mhm.
other thing I get is a little bit of, how do I put this? To me, it feels like for the next couple of years, your career would be best as something that makes you feel good enough, but
Mm.
isn't necessarily what defines you. Because let's say you keep on doing this author route, it's nice to have something pay the bills while, maybe you publish a book a year for the next 5 years, or sometimes people do more than that. And you start to build your own, I forget what it's called, catalog, backlist, whatever, of books. But that does take some time to do that. So perhaps being in a field that feels aligned enough with your values and pays good enough, knowing that this is like my 3 to 5 year plan, and in 5 years from now things are going to be different. And yeah, that's the sense that I'm getting. So how does that fit with any of what you're doing?
Do you know why my eyes just widened when you said like reading and like library and stuff? It's because I've always had this dream, and like two of my friends, or like three of my friends know. And it's like to, because we live in a very small town, and it was to open a like a bookstore kind of cafe vibes.
Oh my gosh, I love
And
it.
so like when you walk in the main door, it'll be like the cafe, so it can be loud. And then you go upstairs and it's like study slash bookstore
Oh
area,
my
so it's like
gosh,
quieter. And then on the
I'm gonna
top
cry.
would be like an open roof, so people can have like rooftop weddings or like
Oh my
rooftop parties.
gosh.
That was my
Yes.
dream.
I love
I
it.
need to save up
Well,
for it.
why is it a
I just wanted
was
to
your dream? Can we make it your dream again?
We can. I mean, it never died. It's just,
Yes.
not having that money to put it into
Yes.
the savings. I'm not saying I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saving up, but recently I got robbed of like $800 from an ATM. So I'm just
Oh
like
my
waiting for everything
gosh.
to come back now. So,
Yes, yes, yes. Well, a few things. So, two things. One, there's two women I want to put you in touch with after this who I would love if you shared your dream with them and let them give you some ideas of what they think about it, because one of them runs a cafe and the other one kind of has an idea of an event space that's different than yours but similar, and she lives in a small town too, just because I feel like that might be nice. And then what I'm also seeing is that either working in a library or in a nonprofit would give you the skills, more of the skill set, so that this dream of yours can happen. And whew, oh gosh, now I'm getting all the chills because uh, even though, how do I put this? Sorry. I feel like your dream is amazing and it's not going to happen right now. And I feel a little bit bad saying that,
oh yeah, no,
because
I
I
mean,
think
it's true.
I don't want to hear from someone, oh, your dream is going to happen in 7 years, but not right now.
I mean, it's true. There's something wrong with it.
Yeah, okay. It's just my own discomfort of not wanting to tell you that. But to me, it feels like it is totally doable. And what if there's a 5 to 8 year plan? And then in the short run, it's like get a job where some way or another you're getting the skills, or you're building the community, or the nice thing about a nonprofit is you might learn things like grant writing or marketing, or I don't know all your skill sets already, but I feel that either in a library or in some nonprofit near you, there are these other skills that you would gather that are going to work towards this space. And then I don't know if it's a savings account that you would have for this thing, but to me, it also feels that if you and other people knew about this dream, and yeah, like there was like a savings account, I feel like that's an oversimplification of it, but I just get this idea of like people continuously in your circle of trusted people knowing this is your dream and this is what I'm saving up for. But at a certain point, it's not just you saving. There's maybe people making donations, maybe, oh, okay, yeah, maybe investors. So how far away is a bigger place than where you live? That's at least double the population. Is it pretty far?
2 hours, San Francisco.
Oh yeah, that is pretty far. Because also what I was thinking is like there's this, what is it called? A Million Cups of Coffee. It's a startup like networking morning thing, which may have it started in California, I think, but or maybe it started in New York. Anyway, I get the feeling of periodically going to startup business networky kind of events where you could meet someone who at some point you tell them about your vision and they're like, oh yeah, I have 10,000 extra to invest, or I have 40,000 to invest and I think this is great, or I have a space. Oh, sorry, I got to tune in because there was one other thing I wanted to look into about this. Sorry, I know it'll take a long time.
Oh no, it's okay.
I
Take your
feel
time.
like it's my logical brain wants to be like, well, what about this and what about that? And I'm like, okay, I have all my ideas. And now I want to hear like if there's anything else they want to share about this. I don't know if this is something that you would be willing to think about, but and it also involves like a certain level of like comfort level and leaping into something maybe, but if you're not if your long term isn't to build this cool library cafe place where I know it's not a library, bookstore, sorry.
Yeah. That's
It's
okay.
just they keep on talking about library to me. So it's like in my head so much. If you don't want it to be where you are, is there a city or a town that you feel some level of excitement about that maybe you start applying to jobs there? Again, I know this is kind of a big leap idea and you don't have to say yes or no, but potentially you might want to look, oh, I've always thought living in such and such state would be cool. Let me see if there's any job opportunities there that fit the criteria to move to this place, explore it, work a job and see. But I don't know. That's also like a pretty big change from what you're doing now.
For me, having it here was, it's a small town. There's no like hangout kind of chill spot. So
Oh,
it would attract more customers.
yes, I see. That's a good idea. And does your town have other things that draw people in or not?
Not really. It's a very
No.
small town.
Yeah. But if you had a business there, would you be happy there long term if there was that
I
happening and
mean,
more
like,
people?
yeah, if I grew up here and if I'm getting like customers and everything, then yeah. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Nice. Yeah, and maybe I'm getting this feeling about a cool project like the West Coast Bookstore Trail, where it's almost like, how do I put it? You know how you can buy like a guidebook and it's like, here's all the things. So I'm almost seeing like a trail guide or guidebook to all these cool bookstore places along the West Coast. And maybe this is like a project that you do where you visit the other bookstores, you meet the owners, you get a taste of it. And then at a certain point, you've got your space and you're a part of this whole West Coast bookstore trail. That actually, no matter what happens, that sounds really fun. And I would buy that book or buy that trail passport guide thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool.
That's probably something that I can do. I mean, I love bookstores anyways, so that you gave me an idea that I can go off of. I mean, I'm not doing much
Yeah. And
productively.
I often feel sometimes when I get a guidebook for a place, I'm like, why don't they put anything I want to actually see in the
Yeah,
guidebook? Like
yeah,
bookstores.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bookstores,
I love that.
cafes, especially if
Mhm.
they're not chains, but like family owned.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, that's perfect. I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up, would you be so kind to tell the viewers, did this give you any clarity or provide any benefits to you that would be helpful in your life?
Oh, definitely. Especially when I'm like, like I said, I'm getting close to 30 and I'm like kind of wanted to be engaged at least already. But, having that like rocky path and kind of just like shutting out anybody that had shown interest, the clarification that you gave, it's just like that's the type of person that I do want, somebody that you can trust. And if you have a bad day, they're like gonna make you laugh and stuff like that. So definitely.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that is so sweet. And even as you're talking about that, I keep on getting this feeling of him and just how sweet and cozy he is with you. So I love that. And then it's like you'll build this happy home that
Yeah.
was what you wanted so
Right.
much.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today. This was lovely.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
so happy. Like my first psychic reading, and I'm already happy with it.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Jyoti. Well, I'm wishing you all the best. And yeah, feel free to send me the link to your book so I can check it out. And if I get in a sticky spot with my book, I might ask you a question, a self-publishing question.
The first book I wrote is getting like a huge makeover. It's getting a new layout, and it's called The Chaos Within Us, new book cover and everything. So I usually tell
Ooh.
people to like wait on that one. Don't buy it yet. Wait till everything's
Mm-hmm.
out. But my second one, Beautiful Consequence, that one is getting a sequel this month. So that's the one I'm like, hey, if you wanna, check it out, then the sequel's coming out this month. So that's kind of what they're on
Ooh.
Amazon. You just like type up my name and then
Yeah,
my
yeah,
last
yeah,
name.
yeah. Oh
Or you
my
can just type up
gosh.
like Beautiful Consequence. And then last month in December, I wrote a book called I didn't write it last month. It came out last month. The
Yes,
Chance.
yes.
Yeah. And then I have like my
Wow.
covers and everything for the next books that are coming out as well, which I'm really excited for.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Are they all novels?
Yes, they're all novels. The only one that
Mm.
has a sequel is Beautiful Consequence, and the sequel is coming out this month called Beautiful Mistake.
Ooh, I love your titles. Those
Oh,
are so
thank you.
good. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Oh
Like
my
literally
gosh.
everything is just Etsy. Like
Oh
this is my
my
editor. Shout out to her.
God.
This was the person that did the cover, so shout out to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. I'm also getting like for one day, it would be so cool if somebody on Netflix picks up one of your books to make it. You know what I mean?
If
Because
you get that
like,
vibe, tell me, please.
well, I'm just thinking, so I don't know if your background is Indian or Hindu, but that one
Oh
cover made
no,
me
no,
think.
that's not a Hindu wedding. That's a Sikh wedding.
Oh, Sikh.
Sikh.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just thinking of what was the show we were watching recently, my husband and I.
Was it?
It's the high school girl. Hold on, hold on. It's the name of a game.
Oh, I can't even remember myself now.
Um, it'll come back to me. Have you
Never Have
ever?
I
Did
Ever?
you see that show yet?
Is it Never Have I Ever? Or something
Yes.
like that? Yes.
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 Yeah, we love
I
that
didn't watch
show.
it. No.
Oh, you didn't? I
I'm the
liked
type of
it.
person that actually doesn't watch what's trending.
Oh, okay.
Keep like I even for like books and stuff, I'm just like if it's trending, I'm like maybe I'll read it, but I try to support other people and like other things.
Totally. Anyway, I just, there's multiple stories that happen within that show,
Yeah.
but it just made me think it would be cool if, at some point Netflix is like, we want to make your book into a movie or a
Or like a
show.
series.
That would be
I'm just like,
nice.
yes, please give me my royalties.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I don't even know how these things happen,
Yeah.
but it also makes me think, that might be a thing. I don't know how often you get down to San Francisco. Not that lots of things happen there, but in my mind,
It's
more things
flooded right
happen
now.
there than where I live. Anyway, when they're not having extreme weather, I just wonder if with some of this networking that you might do with other bookstores or with random other startup people. Yeah. Also, the last thing I'm getting for you, this is a little bit avant-garde, but a startup who, instead of a typical staff like bonding thing, has you as a guest author come in
Yeah.
and everybody writes a short story for 2 hours and you lead them through that, or something of that nature. You do some kind of, I'm an author and I'm working with your staff on
Yeah.
whatever it is that you feel like is part of your magic cool thing that you offer, and then you take the money from that and that goes towards your bookstore fund or your whatever. But and that might not be like your job, but I just feel like there are
As long as I'm there
people.
when they're doing the casting, because I'll be like, that's not the vision I had for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
sit in with the
Oh,
casting director and be like, no.
I'm so excited to tell you about the newly released Talk to the Trees, written by myself, Rachel Strivelli, psychic. Talk to the Trees is a short book about connecting to the wisdom of the trees, actually literally talking to them, metaphorically talking to them, learning from the wisdom of these elder beings. What can we gain from them in terms of resilience, how to get through hard times and dealing with hardships of life? You can buy it at the places linked below. I would love it if you check it out. share it with a friend, buy it for a friend, and spread the word.